What's important now? And I think that's the mistake we make. We often think of the next 3 years, which is a good way to think, but something else could be calling you with passion for now. And I like to focus on the next 3 months. Like, what is the most alive right now?
I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. Dr. Shefali is on the podcast today. She is a psychologist. She is an expert in many things, one of which is parenting. I've learned a great deal from her personally. A lot of us as parents are looking around right now saying, what's the right way to do this? Everything's changing, moving faster than ever. These dynamics bring a lot of, questions that she answers today. And one of the things we did was we covered the gamut. We talked about AI and kids and parenting. We talked about co-parenting. We talked about divorce. We talked about our relationship with ourselves. And one of the things I'm learning more and more from Dr. Shefali is that, as parents, our kids are primed to be able to help heal the things that we need to have healed in order to be better parents. And, the greatest gift we can give our kids is the healing of ourselves. So much of this is about the parent and the work that we need to do. It's also, just a message of encouragement and permission to let go and not try and micromanage and project manage our kids as much as we probably do and don't realize that we do. Dr. Shefali has two new books, Raising Conscious Sons and Raising Conscious Daughters. And you can get the book at drshefali.com, Dr. Shefali, SHEFALI.com, where there are a lot of other resources as well. And without further ado, here is my friend, Dr. Shefali. Dr. Shefali, welcome to the Why Not Now show. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. Let's hop right in.
Okay.
In the spirit of Why Not Now. So, can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself, why not now? And we'll dissect that moment you bridged from idea to action, that delta.
I love that question. I often ask myself, what's stopping me? Why not now? I love that question. So just recently, actually, the reason I wrote these two books kind of came from that question. I was so done with parenting books. I was going to close that chapter and start talking to women and helping women liberate themselves. But then I saw the Netflix documentary Adolescence. And in that documentary, it's about a boy, a 12-year-old boy, who is influenced by the manosphere, by the likes of Andrew Tate and people like him. And because of that influence on a very naive, innocent mind, he actually goes out and kills a girl, murders a girl, because she rejected him. And immediately I had this instinct, a felt sense, a deep inspiration to do something about our boys. And I wanted to do a workshop. Right away, I had this vision called Raising Conscious Sons, which I ended up writing about. But I had a big brake system in my body saying, oh, but you were going to pivot to women. Like, I had a whole proposal for a women's book out, ready to go. So now I am conflicted. I have my trusted path that I thought I was going to follow, that was laid out and predictable in my mind. But then something inspired me and felt like I needed to go somewhere else. And I was
reconciling,
that's
right?
it. And I had to ask that question, why don't you follow this instinct now? Because it feels urgent, it feels right, it feels alive. But then that safer pathway was calling me too. And I had to keep asking about the now. What's important now? What's showing up that feels alive and real for the next 3 months?
Okay.
And I think that's the mistake we make. We often think of the next 3 years, which is a good way to think, but something else could be calling you with passion for now. And I like to focus on the next 3 months. Like, what is the most alive right now? By leaning into what feels real right now, I wrote to my publishers. I told them I see 2 books. I need them to be out within a year or so. And they agreed. And I literally saw the documentary in the summer. And now these books are out in September, a year later. I mean, writing, editing, and out. Because I leaned into what felt good for me right now. And I asked myself the follow-up question to why not now, which is, how would I feel if I didn't do this now? And the answer was, I would feel upset with myself. I would feel it was a missed opportunity. It would feel like I should have leaned in, just tried it. And I like for myself the frame of try it for 3 months. And I even go as far with my clients to say, try it for 30 days. It's a 30-day to 90-day proposition. Experiment. And then say no, if it's calling you.
Well, and thank you, as a beneficiary with a 7-year-old son, I love that you acted on it and you understand the urgency of the impact you can have now versus if you kick this can down the road. I imagine you may wonder, wake at night wondering, like, could I help humanity right now?
Yeah.
Versus, like, we're headed in a direction where you're just, like, needed.
Yeah. And you have to
now.
respond to life in the here and now and listen for signals to what is talking to you. Life is always talking to us. I mean, look how you and I met serendipitously, but you had an instinct, you leaned in. Then I had an instinct about you, and I trusted that and leaned in. And we've created so much magic together already from just a void, right? What was initially a void, we leaned in and created something. But life is always like that. Every moment you could paint a new picture and paint a new canvas. But you have to listen to yourself. And in the same way, you have to walk away from things too.
Well, and that's where you said, there was this internal brake system.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're always getting red, green, yellow lights, like every turn, right? It's all data. But tell me a little bit about that moment, because sometimes we have people behind us, like publishers and team, and we've shared with family and friends, and we have momentum, but you felt this brake system. Was it a pretty quick, you thought about it and you were able to turn, or how long did that process take to decide, okay, I'm not going this way, even though this was the plan.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shift here.
I sat with it.
Okay.
And it's the same process I used in my divorce. It's the same process I used when I came to America. I sat with it. Yeah. Now, for this one, I only sat with it for maybe 3-4 days, but intensely sat with it.
It wasn't going away.
It wasn't going away. With my divorce, I sat with it for 2 years. So you have to sit with that conflict.
Yes.
And in the mess of it, and not react just knee-jerk.
I love that.
But different things have different time spans.
Totally.
It depends on the investment.
I was having a discussion with my very best friend this weekend, and I was talking about making decisions right now on a couple different fronts. And I said, I'm not making a decision while I feel like I'm standing on a lily pad in this place.
Yeah.
Like, now's the time to sit down, right?
Yeah.
Usually I'm decision, let alone a volcano. Like, we can't make decisions from there. And she's like, Amy Jo, that's growth. That's growth, because usually I'm a quick start. It's like, let's go. So with and everything's energy, and you're kind of feeling like even us this morning, like we could co-create on this.
Right.
We're kind of building. When you decided to commit, and then it's green light, when you start a project like this, how do you, clearly you were inspired and motivated.
Yeah.
There was conviction. You just throw yourself in. Is it just like, let's go?
Yeah. And
Once you're clear, game on.
Yeah, but then you have a lot of ego and self-doubt and ideas of how it should be. and telling you that, oh, if it's not like this, don't do it. And if it's not like that, don't do it. And your ego starts creating these barriers and fences immediately. And you have to do that healing of getting the ego out of the way and sticking to the mission. So for my books, for example, the mission was helping parents. In my divorce, the mission was arriving at a more authentic part of me. So the mission changes. But if you plug into the mission and you keep your eyesight on that North Star, then the ego becomes easier to manage. Otherwise, the ego will drown you out. Yeah, because if I made these books, for example, about me and my comfort and me and my bestseller rank and me and my advance and then me and my everything, then I'm going to stop the flow and listen to those voices in me that make these prerequisites essential before I continue. And many of those prerequisites are just conditionings. They're just voices that tell me life has to go this way. So it's a whole process. It's not like you can just go, because then the ego puts its own brakes. So how do you know the brakes of ego versus the brakes of genuine inner GPS, right? How do you differentiate between ego and GP? Like, is it a real voice that's telling me to really not go that way out of authenticity? Or is it my ego freaking the hell out?
And how do you discern
You have to just sit with it a lot longer. And you have to know your ego pretty well.
and not BS yourself?
And not BS yourself,
Because
that it's the
that's so
authentic
easy.
voice. It's so easy. So you have to have recognized your ego enough. But if you're new at this, you just have to sit with it. So decisions need to be sat with and felt with every day. And that's the alive process of life. Just because we make a decision doesn't mean there's no adaptation that's necessary. But that's why institutions like religion or marriage are kind of institutions that entrench us and make us feel like, oh, that decision made that day, that year is something I have to live with for the rest of my life now. And that's why many of us get stuck and we don't know how to come out of it, because these institutions don't treat decisions as live processes.
Alive, that are
They're like dead.
Right.
Like you made it, dead. Now you're committed.
Constantly changing.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back for a second and first of all, last night, for those of you listening, I was fortunate to get kind of an intimate setting with a bunch of friends to get your advice on parenting and learn from you. And it was magic because everybody had a different, point of view and different age kids, and we were able to get into custom situations. And it took me back to when I first met you and saw you on the boat at Summit at Sea.
Yeah.
We're both speaking, and there was, looking at the agenda, like tons of different incredible talent. And I had a friend, and I was like, what's something that you really, really want to go to? Like, what's your top? And we shared the same session. It was your session.
Yeah.
And so getting there, standing room only, it's like we're on the way back, and you start talking. And then we looked at each other, and I get my notes out, my phone out, and we're like, and I'm going to read something that I think was like the kicker, because we discussed it then for like the next, I swear, 5 hours. The greatest gift we can give our kids is the healing of ourselves. Something along those lines. I might have written it wrong. And then parents have the capacity to transform trauma into health. And it was just like, whoa. But everything just kept coming back to, if we focus on our stuff, our shit, our healing, our wholeness, that's all we really got to do, right? We don't need to read all of the books. It's like, if we can just focus on that, that is a big part of this.
Yes.
And I can't believe you're like sitting now in my home in the studio, but it's these two books. If you were to say the net, one thing you could whisper into the ears of parents right now, first you could start with parents of sons, you could do daughters, but what would that key message be right now?
Yeah. That in general, our children are hurting. You don't see it because on the outside they may have the language that we never had. They may have the psychological savvy on the surface that we never had, and they have opportunities like we never had. So old school parents may be like, look at them, they're so entitled, they're so indulged, they get everything, they don't have to wait, they get DoorDash, Uber Eats. And
literally said that this weekend.
and look, they don't have to, live in the world we did. But what we don't realize is that with that world comes a lot of disadvantages. Just in the DoorDash and Uber Eats, we've taken away delayed gratification. We've taken away boredom. We've taken away struggle, friction, waiting, decision-making. There's no decision-making. Everything is so fast now. So because of that, we've actually literally ruined synaptic processes in their brains that would have developed over time. This is leading to the worst mental health crisis ever in modern history. Why is that? We're living in affluence. We're living with so much opportunity and luxury at our disposal. Why are our children crumbling? That's why I wrote these 2 books. I mean, I cannot tell you, Amy Jo, I so did not want to write 2 more parenting books. I've written
I could see your trajectory. Like you were the awakening, like I could see
and the
your
parenting
content.
map. My last book was like, okay, here's the map, goodbye. I'm done.
Because your daughter, Maya's older
Maya's
now.
23, I'm like, I'm done.
You've graduated.
I'm not inspired by my own parenting journey. I'm expiring
Right.
and retiring. So, but I see it in my practice that our children are hurting. In the last 10 years, when I was just getting out, it's now the worst crisis of parenting ever. And Jonathan Haidt wrote the book, The Anxious Generation.
Which made me more anxious.
Which made us more anxious. These books, I set out to give the blueprint. So every chapter has, say, if I had to put it simply, the red flags, the explanation, and the solution. And what you can do, what you can do, what you can do. Our boys are experiencing a crisis of conscious masculinity. They don't know what masculinity is. Our girls are experiencing a crisis of selfhood because now girls are like all amazing on the outside, but more pressure and more perfectionism, more comparing, more self-harm, more anxiety, more rumination, more overthinking than ever before. They are falling apart, but boys are killing themselves and killing others.
It's one of the things that you said even last night was like, and everybody was nodding, was you're making your kids your project.
Yes.
Like you're managing them. And I think about all the executives in the room, and they probably parent a lot in the same form and fashion as they lead.
Yes.
But we're managing them, and we're fixing them, and they're our mission. And
to make them happy or successful. Some version of that.
Right.
Instead of just being with them and seeing them and being in the ditch with them and just guiding them through life.
Right.
We're producing them and producing life.
And it just adds more pressure and anxiety to both of the parties, right?
Yes.
There was a relief, I think, at the end of our session because permission to let go.
Yeah.
Don't get on the ride.
Yeah.
Like, don't get on the ride, right? And like you said something like, you might feel like they're stealing your joy, but then you have control over that, self, accountability, but then you're like strangling them for it
And
because
they
you're
don't have
frustrated.
control.
Exactly.
So
right?
you think they're taking away your joy, but in essence, you're in charge of your joy. But you are controlling them, but they don't have control over that control.
Exactly.
They are falling apart. They don't have the wherewithal.
Oh, it's so true because even when you go on the ride with them, if you go, it's going to be up and down. They're going to be over it, but you're still going to be thinking about it, paying for it, ruminating, anxiety days later after the ride too. Right?
Absolutely. So we are constantly handicapping ourselves because in that moment with our children, we think they are causing this. They are in a bad mood. They are upset. They are so this. They are so that. But we're not seeing how we are first interpreting it as so that.
Right.
Just when we say, my child is so sad, we've interpreted that as sad. Then we've reacted to it. Then we have a story about it. Then we want to fix it. Instead of, even if, say, we did it right, like, yes, they are sad. Okay. There's really nothing to do about it, but to stay neutral. And because we don't stay neutral and we go to high gears and low gears, we are deflating our energy source so rapidly and then upset with the kid when
And
the
they
kid is
don't-
just being the kid.
And then they probably don't feel safe and seen.
Yes.
Because we're off our rock, like we're out
Yeah.
off regulation.
Right. Because we enter the parenting journey, like you said, like a CEO or like a manager. This is like a project.
Yep. Strategic plan.
Yeah,
Got
what can we
this.
do?
These are the
How do
goals.
I get this kid from A to B? Every night you're trying to change their state and make them do things. Now, the doing is understandable, but how many things in a day do we make our children do? And how many states do we want them to go through instead of just letting them be who they are and do a minimal amount of doing? Like we've created all this doing,
Yes.
and then we create more stress.
So let's talk about co-parenting for a moment. So my co-parent, who you met, my co-pilot, we are very, very good friends. We're close. Anytime I mention it or people see this, it's probably the topic I get the most DMs about. It's like, wait, how are you going on spring break together? Or you're walking your dogs, and we just have this wonderful relationship, and it hasn't been, by no means, we haven't figured out. But I believe seeing is believing. The reason we were able to arrive here is because we could see other people were able to do it. How, in this day and age, like what are some of the approaches to co-parenting that you feel work best, or the questions to ask together as you're decoupling or converting your relationship? Like, what advice do you have to co-parents in general?
Yeah. Well, it sounds so amazing that you both have figured out this equation. And I hope that everyone does. I think it's getting your egos aside, letting go of hurt and resentment, that there's a victim and a perpetrator, there's an enemy and a good one, and that both of you co-created the coming together and co-created the uncoupling. And then you can parent together as partners. But as long as one feels aggrieved, which is 99% of the time, one is feeling like the victim, cannot let go of the past, keeps attacking the other. The other cannot get the aggrieved one to let go. Then you have to kind of not co-parent together. Like you just have to go, you do you, I do me. Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think there was enough self-awareness where of course, there were moments where like we knew we're self-aware, but it didn't mean that we were actualizing like, the scenario beyond any kind of pain or hurt in a relationship. But when it comes to, I think I've heard you say this after getting divorced, like you took so much accountability for evolving as yourself, right? So it was more about, it sounded like you were choosing to evolve into a better version of you.
Right. I had to make sure I wasn't falling into the victim trap and making myself the good one. Of course, I think I'm the good one, right?
Of course.
But I'm not faultless at all. So when I was writing a book about it, A Radical Awakening, that I encourage all women to read, in that book, I had to really battle the ego that wanted to show off and up as the good one, because there was no good or bad one. That's when you can heal, right? Doesn't mean that we've sorted out our relationship right now. We still have a difficult dynamic, but me personally could move on without tension or resentment, because I saw how I played into my dynamic and my ego played into it so beautifully. So even if I was the victim at some times, I created the victim. Co-created the victim with the perpetrator, and he created the victim with his. He co-created his victim with me as perpetrator in his story. And if couples don't see how we completely play into it, it's as cunning as telling somebody to pick you up at 3:45, but you meant 3:30, and now you're the victim.
Yep.
And you're a big-time victim.
Yeah, then there's the villain.
And there's a villain. And you're like, no, I meant 3:30, or you didn't hear me, or you didn't say it clear enough, or you didn't remind me. But we'll set it up in these weird ways where now we're the victim. And then they're defensive and angry with you, and then you're definitely the victim.
And we double down, right?
And we double down.
The drama triangle
Yes.
of victim, villain, hero.
Yeah.
There have been so many times where we've caught ourselves literally, like you have to remove completely from.
Yeah.
And something you said last night was, I think you said for the 4 years you were worried that you were disrupting your daughter's world
Yes.
and life by
Yes.
going through this process. And then it sounded like there was this one day you're like, okay, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think everybody was like, she just decided? Like it was that? She did it?
Right.
And then it happened?
Right.
How
And you were
process-
explaining also how you had some guilt of, your own separation and how that comes out. So guilt is a big thing, especially for us women, especially if we were part of the process to divorce, meaning we wanted it too, right? If it happened to us, then we're like, oh, I'm the good guy. I didn't do anything. But when we actively were part of the co-creative dissolution or even the leader of the dissolution of the marriage, mothers have a lot of guilt because how can we be the bad guys? We are doing this. How can we put our needs first and make our children suffer? How can we do that to our children? So I had a lot of guilt, 4 years, if not more, maybe 5. But then, once my daughter entered adulthood, I put a ceiling that once she's an adult. So I waited for 18, then I waited for 21. But then at 23, when I really pushed the guilt and really did good with that, I had to tell myself, I cannot parent out of guilt anymore. Because ultimately that would not serve her. And it's certainly killing me. So I need to treat her like a healed person. I need to treat her like a whole person. Because guilt means I'm not treating her like a whole person. I'm treating her like a damaged person. Right? I'm believing she's damaged. I'm believing I'm the cause of the damage.
Fix it.
All false. All bad places, toxic places to operate from. But I did it for 4 or 5 years. I just couldn't let go of my guilt. I saw myself do it. I said, you are treating her damaged and you're punishing yourself for something that you didn't even do wrong, and you're creating this unhealthy bullshit dynamic. As a coach, as a therapist, writing books, I couldn't let go. So I said, just F it, just do guilt. Then do guilt really well so it leaves your system.
Cap it. 23, I'm out.
I mean, do it so well that you're sick of being guilty. So I did it so well till I organically was exhausted. Now I'm tired, burnt out by my guilt. And I said, now I'm done being inauthentic. I played the guilty one, the martyr. I gave you everything. I said sorry a bazillion times. It still hasn't worked much. It doesn't even work much, by the way.
But it's worked for you, right?
But it got me cleansed out of that. I needed to do it just for myself. It's like I had to pay penance. Whatever I decided was my punishment. And it's so stupid that I even had to do it, but I did it. I don't encourage people to, if they can, bypass or get out of it. But for me, that felt like I needed to kind of go through the guilt earnestly, play the guilty one. And I allowed myself, even though I knew it was my false self. So this is really weird. It's like I needed to do that. I needed to play that role, finish it well, and then put it to rest. And then one day I said, I'm done. I've put it to rest. I've done my guilty role, said sorry. I've put it to rest. I've paid my price.
We learned what we need to teach. And imagine how many people listening to this right now are thinking to themselves, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time I let go of the...
Yeah. I did it consciously and I ended it consciously.
Yep. And that's so interesting how we can be self-aware of something. That doesn't mean we're shifting or changing behavior yet. We know it's going to come. But I'm
exactly. I'm consciously choosing to stay in this toxic dynamic. I'm not yet ready. I'm waiting to be ready. It's okay to give yourself permission to not be healthy sometimes. It's a weird thing because you're not yet ready for health. Right, so you could be in a career, in a job, in a any position at your company where you're like, this sucks. I hate my boss. I don't like what I'm doing, but I'm not ready yet. And you can watch yourself through that process, and it's okay.
Especially, I love hearing this from you because as a thought leader, one of the things that struck me watching you at Summit at Sea was how honest you were about your own parenting. I think there was a story with Maya about you taught her at a young age what a hypocrite was because there was something happening then she brought it right back around and she's like, and you just basically own the fact that no, none of us are perfect. It allows us to trust you more as a thought leader because you're human.
I'm glad.
And we think that we need to understand and know all these things because is that weakness? Do we not know what we're talking about?
Right.
And no, because your learned living experiences probably trumps your even academic.
Yes.
Like what you can add
it's
to
honesty. It's intellectual honesty to your life. So be very afraid of people who act as if they're not working their shit out right now, right? Like, be very nervous if you're dating somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I've really healed myself a lot, or oh yeah, I have no ego. You and I at the summit talk, we heard some people tell me how conscious they were.
Yes.
And they were kind of done with being unconscious, and they were so healed. And I was very worried about those people.
There's always more. There's a line of things to heal.
Right. The most unconscious thing you can say to someone is, I'm conscious. Because consciousness means being so aware of your ego right here, like my ego sitting right here. It ain't leaving me.
It's never done.
Never left me.
Yeah.
It's just may look
constant.
different, softer, louder. I'm managing my ego all the time. That's consciousness.
So let's shift gears for a moment to AI, right? So there's this moment in time, and Richard and I were talking about this literally an hour ago of, where we have a 7-year-old son, and we want to make sure that he is learning what he needs to learn. Things are moving so quickly. And I'm a strong believer of the future of technology is the future of humanity. Mm-hmm. And I'm a tech optimist as well, rooted in reason. But if it's used in the right ways with intention, it actually can deepen our humanity, I believe, not make us less dehumanize, right? And so I've been doing an experiment we talked a little bit about, and a lot of the listeners know, can we increase our quality of life with intentional use of leveraging AI? And the signals are showing some really cool signs, but it can easily go the other way too. So what are your thoughts on AI when it comes to both parenting and also kids, both upside and downside? Like, what should we be asking ourselves as parents right now?
It's really tricky because just like I talked about, our setup, our tech setup has robbed our children of essential processes of thinking and struggling and figuring things out. AI can come in and do everything for you so much faster. Now I've gone really even more into original thinking than ever before, because I can see how AI slop is everywhere on the internet. And now everybody's talking beautifully and reading the same shit.
And not thinking for themselves.
And not thinking, now I'm exhausted by AI slop. So I don't like AI for our children for that reason, because it will take away what makes us human. What makes us human is the struggle, is the imperfection, is the sitting for hours on a blank page going, I don't know what to write. What should I do my workshop on? What should I tell the parents? That whole lengthy process is being taken away, which is what makes us human. Now, if AI can call the plumber for you and make the appointment and fix the airline ticket and those kind of assistant stupid jobs, sure, but we're not using AI for that. We're using AI to fill in for our brain functioning and figure things out. And we figured out our relationships before without AI. We figured out amazing works of art and classic literature without AI. So we can do this. It is what makes us human. So why are we taking out what makes us human? To make us less human, but have more time to be less human? So I don't fully understand why we're doing this. And I don't see its benefits, even to live longer. Like, how much longer do we want to live? We're already living 20, 30 years longer than the average that we used to live. What is the point? What are we trying to do? We're trying to be less human. And we're the only species that is successfully going to eliminate itself.
And so my question to you, I hear you, it's not going away. So as parents are trying to figure out, you think about this divide of even education, of kind of the haves and have-nots. It is happening so fast that as a second grader, we're debating, what skills does Lincoln need to have as a human, right? The survival skills they used to be kind of soft skills, we call them, like confidence, public speaking, reasoning, original thinking. I'm with you on the original thinking. I'm like, wait, are you just regurgitating the half the headline you wrote, or have you thought this one through? Let's use the years of walking the planet that we have to our advantage in our experience. But But for kids in making decisions about what they need to learn, and also I'm finding that it's helping me regulate in situations. They're actually adding value in a way as an adult. I'm feeding it and teaching it in ways that it can actually add value versus, I feel like, dehumanize. So I have more time to be with people and to do my what I'm uniquely qualified to do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to kids, it's scary to think about in 3 to 5 years how quickly the divide can be for kids who are learning this versus learning this. And then you compound and extrapolate, and it's like, wait, we're saving for college? No, we're saving for next year. Like maybe we should be investing in them differently now, because college, who knows if we're going to even have academic systems like we did. So just like, what are some of the questions we should be asking ourselves about what they're learning?
Yeah, I think that if we resist, getting on the bandwagon and don't give in to our fear, but create more community in our children's lives, create more play, more simplicity, more thinking, more originality, more creativity, more groundedness, I think those children will actually succeed more than the children who are learning AI so fast, so early, that AI has replaced those things. So I think human skills will win at the end. And if we all give in to the fear, then we're all going to lose. But if sufficient waves of us, swaths of us say, we're not getting into that, let them do it there, but we're not getting into that, I think there could be a mass resistance. And I do see a lot of parents of young kids resisting the phone, resisting social media, resisting tech.
Video gaming, like we're holding off as long as we possibly can.
Right. So that is sending a huge signal to the tech industry that you cannot invade childhood. You can get us at 17, but you can't get my kid younger than 17. So if we protect the first 16 years and really infuse the child with what it is wired for, which is to be human, that child will succeed, I think. And they can then pick up the skills later. But don't rob your child's childhood from what makes it uniquely a human childhood.
It's interesting. I live on a very tight street. We're just almost like family. And we talk about sometimes like going in on it together. It's like, okay, let's all decide. Nobody's doing this until this age, right? And if we stick together, we're kind of like a pod, right? Like, then they won't feel as left out. And I just love that sense of communal, just like it used to be, where it's very intentional, parents getting together and saying, hey, let's have this discussion. So when our two kids who are best friends, there's a video games are in their house, but not like...
Yeah, it has to be together.
It is so much more powerful.
Yes.
Like you said.
And getting the school on board and getting the parents on board. But you have to really understand that you're not losing, you're going to gain from this. Because otherwise, they will own your child. They will own your child's brain and feed it messages that you have no control over. It's not a loss to do this. It's a gain to do this.
Right. My brother has kids who are not quite 10 years older, like about 8. And he's the one that has said to me, I would do this differently.
Yes.
I would wait a lot longer on video
you're
games.
So lucky because of parents like us who are warning you guys.
Not have my kid in 3 sports.
Do not do it the way we were fooled and fell into the trap.
Because it was the first time that it was native and like, sure, get on Snapchat. Or
I remember it was Snapchat that my daughter wanted so desperately. And I was like, okay, you're just going to chat to your friends. And then it became Instagram. Okay, that's so cute. You take pictures. You didn't realize that it would become this machine to control our children's brain. It was supposed to be just pictures between friends. But it became a whole marketplace. It's now a marketplace. It's not a place of inspiration or intellect. It's a marketplace. Everyone is selling you something.
And we're buzzing. Like it's cognitive chaos for them. It's like you can't, everything's faster. Which brings me to the topic of boredom. Some friends and I were talking about when we grew up, we didn't have camps every single week. And we would get bored.
Yes.
And that's a good experience, right? And I think sometimes parents are afraid their kids are going to be bored.
Yeah.
So talk
But
to us about
boredom-
the value of boredom.
Yeah, boredom, meaning the space of doing nothing, actually then activates a part of your brain to kick in the default mode network, which is a default mode, right? That'll kick in to generate its own creative ideas. But if you don't have time to generate your own, and you're constantly receiving and being a passive consumer, every genius, the proposal for these two books and the proposal for the women's book that I wrote a few days before I wrote the proposal for these books was when I was in default mode network. I was in Bali, in the wilderness, quiet, and boom.
Clear.
It cleared.
Like clear signal.
And then I got my own network clicked in. But you have to wait for it to click in. It was like 72 hours in the wilderness and quiet. And I'm like, oh, I'm really in the jungle. And boom, it just, the switch comes because we all have the switch. We have put an elephant on the switch. And social media technology is the elephant on our children's switch.
100%. It's almost like we're online. But what you explained is you became online with just your own
We're really
intuition.
Online. Yeah.
And so it's a different type of online. Are
real
you on the
online.
right line?
On which line are you on? Yeah.
Okay, so one last question, and I've been thinking about, there's probably so many topics and things that you could explore or want to share on in your next seasons. But is there one thing that you keep learning over and over? Like something that life is just like still, she's going to need to learn.
Is stop trying to manage the outside person or thing and just manage yourself. Just please manage yourself. Nobody outside, your child, your partner, the greatest person out there, has any real right to control you. You've given them the right. So just cut the right, like end the right. Just stop it and control yourself, manage yourself, always be in joy. Don't give up your joy to anybody. Let them do whatever they want to do. Like Mel Robbins says, in her book, let them. You have to really learn to manage your own joy.
Amazing, amazing. So best place to get the books.
They can go to Dr. Shefali, which is drshefali.com, and get my masterclass and so many bonuses and courses that I'm giving if you order the books through the website.
It's amazing. The tactics, the insight I've learned just through listening to you have it's been amazing. So thank you
so much.
Really, really appreciate you coming on the show.
Of course. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you.